Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jacob Kaufman, the Nerd of the Street, and today we are taking a quick look at LibreOffice Writer. Okay everyone, so here at Nerd on the Street, my goal is to spread free and open software around, to get people using freedom-respecting software, and to convince people to leave proprietary software behind. Sometimes that means tackling really complicated subjects. Video encoding, DVD ripping, MP3 DRM stripping, and then sometimes it's the simple stuff. I heard yesterday somebody who has actually been involved in a Nerd on the Street production saying that they attempted to use LibreOffice Writer but had to go back to Microsoft Word. Now, it's not like I've never heard of that before. You know, I go on r/Linux, I see people claiming that Microsoft Office is better than LibreOffice for various reasons. But I've never heard it firsthand from somebody who I actually had a dialogue with. And from what it sounded like, it wasn't any macro compatibility, crazy stuff that was keeping this person from using LibreOffice. Apparently they just couldn't figure out how to do some stuff. Now, they said something about getting the language on their installation set wrong, which I'm going to show you how to fix here. But just in case there's anyone out there who really doesn't know how to use LibreOffice Writer, I'm just going to run through some of the basic functions and show you how to make a document in LibreOffice Writer just like you would using Microsoft Word. So that's what we're doing today, and without further ado, I'll go ahead and cut to the desktop. Alright, and here we are on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and open up LibreOffice Writer right here, and there we go. So this might look a little bit different depending on what computer you're using, what operating system you have, what theme you have. As you can see, I've got this nice, cool looking dark theme, but the layout will be the same no matter what. So this is LibreOffice Writer. It looks very similar to older versions of Microsoft Word. When you first open it up, you've got a brand new blank document here. If you want to make another new document at any time, you can do that by going to File, New, Text Document, or you can just click the New button right at the top left, and now we've got another one. We'll close that. We're just going to go through some basic formatting things first. We'll type out a test sentence. This is a test sentence. Alright, and you can change the font super easy right here with this drop-down box. Fonts, once again, are going to depend on your system. I've got Indica here, which is actually the font I use for a lot of display stuff. We've got Liberation Sans by Red Hat there. We've got Noto Sans is a font by Google. And then we've got Ubuntu is another font that I use for a lot of Nerd on the Street things. So we'll go ahead and leave it on Ubuntu for now. But once again, what fonts are available is just going to depend on your operating system and what fonts you have installed. So next to that, we can change the font size. The default is 12, but we can bring that down to 10. We can bring it up, it goes all the way up to 96 in the drop-down box, but you can actually type in larger numbers than that. Or you can type in, whatever number you want there. We'll set this to like 14 for our video. Just like Microsoft Word, we've got font effects that we can apply here. You can make your text bold, you can make your text italic, you can make your text underline, you can make it strike through. If you do a bunch of dumb stuff like that and then you want to take it away, there's actually a button here you can click to clear the formatting. And that got rid of our font and font size too. We do have a superscript button and a subscript button right there, and if you want to know what the keyboard shortcuts for that stuff is, you can hover over any button. So superscript is Shift-Control-P, and subscript there is Shift-Control-B, and then we can put it back to normal. Over here we can change the color of our text. You can set your font color, you can set the highlight color, which is going to be in the background there. That reset button works for the colors too. Next to that, we can set up lists. If you want an unordered list, you can toggle your bullet points on and off here. This is item 2, item 3, I spelled that wrong. There we go. And item 3, level 2. If you want to customize what the bullet points look like, that's super easy to do. Just click the little drop down arrow next to the on-off button for the bullet points. We've got preset options right here, or you can go to more bullets, and you can actually set custom characters and symbols to be your bullet points. So let's say I want my level 1 bullet point to be this stupid supercharged percentage sign. That's a per mil sign there, right? Yeah. So we'll click OK on that. And OK, and now our top level bullets are the per mil sign, or per milli, however you pronounce that. So that's super easy to do right there in the menu. Of course, you can also make ordered lists. If we switch this entire thing over to an ordered list, now we've just got numbers. Now, as you can see, by default, it's numbers all the way down. So no matter how many levels in you are, it's just going to be a number in a period. Once again, you can customize that with the little drop-down box. We can change that to numbers with a parenthesis separator, or we can put letters, and you can customize that per level there very easily Once again, if you want to set things up more complex, you can go to more numbering and choose whatever level you want to customize in here. And you can actually customize the number separately from the separator. So let's say we want numbers, but instead of a parenthesis, we want to put a dash, a hyphen in between. We can do that super easily as well. Alright, so there's all that, and just like Microsoft Word these days, Microsoft Word at the top right has that list of preset styles, like your title, your subtitle, your different headings. LibreOffice actually has that same feature. They're just up here in the top left. You can see by default it's just set to default style, but we can actually build an entire document and not have to touch any of these, font size, or any of these effects. We can use the presets, just like in Microsoft Word. So we can set our title up here. As you can see, it puts it in the middle automatically. Down here, we'll go ahead and put a subtitle. We can put heading 1, and then type in some text body contents. Then let's say there's some subsections, we can put heading 2, and some more text. And then let's say there's another subsection, we can put another heading 2, and then some more text. So now this is already looking more like a real document than any of the other gibberish I've typed so far. For demonstration purposes, we're gonna bring in some actual content here. So here on the Nerd on the Street website, we've got our Extra Life 2017 playlist page. I'll go ahead and copy the description from that playlist, and we'll just paste it into our document right here. We can select all of that, and you can see by default our text body is justified to the left. Of course, we can center it, we can right justify it, or we can actually justify it. I guess these are called alignments, and then yeah, you can justify to have the sides of the text line up with each other super easily right there. While we've got this text selected, we can also mess with our spacing. So right here you can set your line spacing. This is the spacing between the lines. The default is 1.15, but we can bring that down to 1. We can bring it up to 2, 1.5. You can type in whatever value you want by going to fixed and then typing in a value there. You can see we can bring it down, bring it up, and that's going in inches right now. We'll just set it back to 1.15. Actually, we'll set it to 1.5. That looks nicer. These buttons to the right of the line spacing are your paragraph spacing. So this will add some more space before and after your paragraph, remove space before and after your paragraph. If you want to add space before but not after your paragraph, you can do that by right-clicking, going to paragraph, and you get this box right here. You can add in some indentation without having to click tab or anything. Right up here in indent. Now if you add in things in this first text box, it's actually going to move the entire paragraph over, as you can see right there. If you just want the first line to be indented, like you probably do if you're wanting a tab-like effect, then you can set just first line right here, move that up a little bit, and you can see right there what that looks like. So now with that set up, we can hit enter and not have to click tab. There's already an indentation right there. Okay, and if we want space before a paragraph, like I said, we can go right here. Spacing above paragraph, we can increase that, and it doesn't affect the spacing below the paragraph. Or if we just want less spacing below the paragraph, let's say, but we want to leave the top the same, we can just move this below paragraph down to 0, and now there's less space below that paragraph. We can make these go super close together by adjusting above the paragraph on the next one, and now they're right up against each other except for the line spacing. If we bring that down to 1, now it's all just one big mess. That looks terrible. I'm gonna Control Z a little bit. Okay, and there's also buttons right here in our toolbar to increase and decrease the indent for the entire paragraph. Once again, you can access everything though by right-clicking and just going to paragraph. It's all super easy. It's not rocket science here. We can change our line spacing here as well. We can make drop caps here. That's where the first letter is bigger and it looks fancy. So let's make the first character 2 lines tall. Now, doesn't that look great? All right. That doesn't actually look that great, but we can go ahead and I think if we increase the space to text a little bit here, it'll look a little better. There we go. That looks all right. And right here, the drop cap does have a gray background to let you know that it is a drop cap, but if we do go to our print preview, you can see it's not going to have a gray background there in the picture. I think we can make that a little bit bigger there, yep, as you can see right there. Okay, and speaking of views and print previews, we can actually change the layout that our page right here is. This is the default page view, and it shows you, let's say that we've got more content. Let's bring in some more stuff from nerdonthestreet.com. What's another? Let's just bring in all the, well, that's a pretty short description right there. Let's go to our rolling release page, and yeah, let's bring in this content here. I'm just gonna paste some things in. This is going to be a heading 2. You can see it actually detects when I paste in content from the internet. LibreOffice knew that this heading was a heading 2 because on my website that should be an H2 tag in the HTML right there, as you can see. So that's very, very handy for copy-paste formatting. It just works, looks great, and we just need a little bit more content here. I'm trying to get a page break. That's what I'm going for. So let's go into, let's grab some displaced text. All right, right there, perfect. So now we've got a page break. So by default, you'll see the actual end of one page and beginning of the next page. Now, if you do just want to collapse these together so there's not space in between them, you can hover your mouse in between the 2 pages right here and just double click. And it'll collapse them in. There will be a line so you can see where the page break is. I do this very often when I'm working on notes and things, because if I don't intend to print a document out, I don't actually care that much where the page breaks are. I still prefer having the page layout, but yeah, you can go ahead and double click there to bring that space back if you do want to see what it's going to look like when you print it, with the margins and everything on the top and bottom. But there's also entirely different views we can use to look at this. If we go up here to view, we can actually go to web view. And this is where it just uses up all of the possible space. It resizes based on, you know, how big your window is here. And if you really never intend to print a document out and you just are wanting like a notepad or something, this is perfectly fine to use as well. All right, we'll go back to normal view though, the page view. Let's take a look at some things we can insert here. First of all, tables. You can get to all this stuff in the insert menu up here, but I find it easier just to use the easily accessible toolbar buttons here. So we're going to insert a table. Let's make it a 4x6 table. I don't actually have any content to put here, so we're gonna make this a times table. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so you can use your arrow keys to get between the different cells of the table. Tab will get you into the next cell, and then Shift Tab will bring you to the previous cell. So I'm just gonna fill this in so that we've got content here. This is a really dumb table example to have, but you know. All right, so there's a little multiplication table just so that we can see what tables look like. If we highlight the entire table, we can right click on that and we can do things like merge cells. Let's say that let's insert another row on top of this table here, and we'll make this table called multiplication table. But I want this title to be centered in my table, so I'm going to just highlight the top 4 cells, right click and click merge cells. It's going to merge them all together. Now we can center that, we can bold it, bring it up in size, put a sans serif font on it. All right, that's a good looking table right there. If we want to change things even more, let's say we want to change what the border looks like on some of these cells, we can highlight these, right click, and let's see. Table properties is where we can go and click on borders. There are some predefined borders here if we want outer border only. As you can see, we've still got lines here in gray for us to see on the computer once again that these are different cells, but now if we go to our print preview, right here, we'll make this a little bit bigger and we'll go to our second page, and there actually is a different print preview function, but you can see here there's no lines in between those cells. The things in light gray are just on the computer. Just like our border of the entire page here is just on the computer. That's not going to show up if you print, obviously. There is a bigger print preview if you just want to see a print preview right there. It's File, Print Preview. Now you can zoom in and see what each page will look like exactly when you print this out. And we can close that preview. All right, and we can also insert things like charts. This chart is going to be pretty nonsensical because we don't have any data. If we right-click this chart and go to Data Table, we'll actually get a table here where we can type in data for the chart. More likely, you're going to be using LibreOffice Calc, which is the Excel equivalent for LibreOffice, to actually make sensical charts with important data in them, and then you would import those into LibreOffice, which you can do to make a chart. That is way beyond the scope of this video though, because this is just a video on getting started with Writer, but that's how you can insert a chart right there. We can also insert pictures, of course, insert image. You can see there's not much in my gallery right here, but we can insert any picture that is on our file system. So if I go to, oh, here's a screenshot from one of my videos just sitting in my home directory. We'll double click on that, and that imports the picture right into our document. I think it put it over our chart. Yep. So we can just drag that down. We can right click this. We can crop it right here in LibreOffice. So there's just me, or we can do, I actually like it better when it's the whole thing. So if we right click this, we can change the wrapping. Let's bring this up next to our text actually. So by default, the wrapping is going to be Looks like pretty tight wrapping there. But we can change that to wrap left. So text can go on the left side only. We can wrap right, so the text is on the right side only. Wrap through, which means that it just doesn't wrap and the image goes over everything else. We can do background. That looks pretty bad, so we won't do that. We'll do the optimal page wrap that it started with, and we'll set that right there. Okay, that looks pretty good. If we do want to have some more space on the outside of this picture, we can go to Properties and Borders, and we can add some padding on the left side. By default, it's going to add padding on all 4 sides. As you can see, they're all locked together. To change that, just uncheck this synchronize box. Now we can add padding on the left and not affect all the rest of the sides. We can click OK. So you can see it shrunk the image down, but now if we move the image close to the text will stay 1/5 of an inch away from the picture at all times. So that's how you do that. Okay, if you do want to put in a footnote into one of your pages, that's pretty easy to do. Let's say that I want a footnote somewhere. All right, nobody knows where the new planet is. I want to put a footnote right after that. Sentence right there. Up here at the top of our screen, we've got an insert footnote button. We've also got an insert endnote button, which will do the same thing, but it'll put the note at the end of the document, whereas footnote, we'll just put it at the end of the current page. We'll do footnote. As you can see, after we do that, it automatically puts a little superscripted 1 right where we inserted the footnote, and then we've got a corresponding 1 in the footer of that page. So this was, nobody knows where the new planet is. And then the footnote, not actually a new planet. And that'll only make sense to you if you've seen displaced. All right, so that's how we insert a footnote. And at this point, we've done quite a bit in our document here. We've got a lot of content, lots of important content we could never, replicate if my computer were to crash right now and I were to lose this. So let's go ahead and save. You can click Control S, or you can come up to the top here and click Save. I'm gonna make a new folder here, call it LibreOffice Video. Okay, and we're gonna type in document name is going to be the name of our document. I know it's pretty unoriginal. Down here at the bottom left, we've got an option to encrypt with the GPG key, but we also have an option to save this document with a password, and doing this will also encrypt the document. So GPG key support is nice, but saving with a password and encrypting the document with the password is actually super powerful. You can do that right from the save box, so we'll go ahead and do that just for demonstration purposes. You can also choose what format you want to save the document in. By default, it will save an ODF text document, that is the open document format. Microsoft Office, as of, I think 2010 was the first version that you could open up ODF files without a plugin or anything. Microsoft Office does support open document formats, so I would use ODF. This used to be a big issue. ODF legally used to be superior to Microsoft's proprietary formats. Nowadays, LibreOffice can handle Microsoft formats pretty well also, though. If you want the old .doc format, you can have that. If you want the newer .docx format, you can do that as well. I've never had an issue with LibreOffice Writer losing formatting in a saving to .docx or anything. The only time I've ever saved something in LibreOffice and had it look different in Microsoft Office was actually a LibreOffice Impress presentation that I opened in Microsoft PowerPoint, and some of the headers in that PowerPoint presentation looked a little bit different in PowerPoint. But that was no big deal. My formatting still came across. But those are our options here. We've got other options as well. Rich text format there, and some others. We'll just go with the default ODF text document, and we'll go ahead and click Save, and we will be prompted to enter in our password. So I'm just gonna type a super secret, super secure password. It's 8 letters, just like the word password. Not gonna tell you what it is though. As you can see, should you lose the password, there will be no way to recover the document, because this is not just some superficial password, this is actually encryption. Under the options here, you can actually specify a second password, and what you can do here is say, okay, I want this first password to only open the document for reading, but then if I want to edit the document, I wanna have another type of password. Super powerful stuff. I don't actually need that for demonstration purposes right now, but we'll just go ahead and save with our password there. And now if we close our document and I go back into my documents folder, all right in here we've got our document, and I'll double click that to open it. I've got a prompt, enter password. If I enter the wrong password, password is incorrect, the file cannot be opened. We just get prompted again. If I type in the correct password, document loads up right there. Okay. There are lots of other powerful features in LibreOffice Writer as well. We can add bookmarks and cross-references. We can insert lots of different shapes. And, if you're going to be inserting a lot of shapes, LibreOffice Draw is also a great program you can use. But if you do want to do that stuff in your text document, you can go ahead and add, whatever shapes you want to add here. We can set the wrapping on those, optimal page wrap. There we go. I don't know why I would want that right there, but it's there. A lot of times I do like to insert page breaks manually. Let's say this table really has nothing to do with the rest of this page and I want to make that appear on a separate page. You can do Control-Enter to do a page break, or if you don't want to use the keyboard shortcut, you can do Insert and Page Break. So now that appears on a separate page from everything else. Alright, and we can zoom in and out of our entire document by holding down Control and using our scroll wheel. We can display several pages at the same time down here with our multiple page view at the bottom right. So this is going to be 2 pages at the same time. We can also do 2 pages at the same time, except in booklet form, and it's assuming that we've got a separate title page there. There's a slider right here at the bottom right that we can zoom in and out of our document with. We can horizontally scroll if your mouse has a horizontal scroll wheel. Bottom left here, we've got a word count, character count, and there is, of course, spell checking built in here. I've got it turned off, but if you want to turn it on, we can go into Tools and Options, and it's going to be under Language Settings, Writing Aids, and in my case, I'm on Arch Linux. I've got the Hunspell spell checker with my English dictionaries that I have installed. It should be enabled by default. If you're on Windows or Ubuntu, then it should just work out of the box. Here on Arch Linux, I did have to run a couple of commands linking the Hunspell dictionaries to where they needed to be for LibreOffice. If you have any questions about that stuff, feel free to ask in the comments section below or over on the Nerd on the Street forums. But yeah, at this point, we've done quite a lot here. We've made a very useless document with a lot of text in it. And I think I've demonstrated that LibreOffice Writer does function. It opens up, you can edit your text documents with it. It looks pretty nice with my dark theme. Oh, one other thing about LibreOffice, even though it does not have the ribbon at the top, which by the way, there actually is an experimental version of the ribbon for LibreOffice. If you want to turn that on, you can go to Tools, Options. It's under the first section called LibreOffice. It's under Advanced. Check Enable Experimental Features, click OK. Restart LibreOffice. It'll open back up. We'll type our password in here again. Alright, now if we go up to View, we can go to Toolbar Layout, and there will be this option called Notebook Bar, and this is a little bit like the ribbon in Microsoft Office here. It's not the exact same, but it is similar, more similar than the default layout. So if you are addicted to the ribbon from Office 2007 and 2010, and I get it, I really liked Microsoft Office 2007. That was my favorite version of Office up until that point. So if you do want that ribbon looking layout, this is an option here as well. I didn't do the whole video in this layout because it is still experimental, but that is a thing there that you can use. But as I was about to say before, aside from this entire top section that you can really customize however you want if you put the time into it, there's also a sidebar in LibreOffice. It got hidden when I selected the notebook view here, but we can reopen it up with this little show button on our right side of our screen. And LibreOffice actually does have sidebars, so we've got settings for our sidebar right there. We can open up the properties pane, and this is just another way to get to all the same stuff at the top of our screen here. So we can go and we can set up, how our content is justified. We can make things bold, we can make things italics. We can set up our page here, change the page size, change the width and height of our page, change the orientation of our pages. Now it's in landscape. Put it back to portrait. We can change our margins right here. We can go through everything. Styles, gallery for all of the different shapes and things that we could use. Navigator is going to be a little bit like an automatic table of contents. We can jump to our different headings there, as you can see. You can actually do some change management here. It's a little bit like Google Doc comments if you're sharing documents back and forth with different people. I don't have that set up for this document, but that is a feature in LibreOffice. And there's all kinds of other stuff we can do using this sidebar. So it really is, LibreOffice Writer is an incredibly versatile document editor. It can do just about everything that Microsoft Word can do. And one very last thing before I go, like I said, I'm making this video because somebody specific was having trouble using this program, and they somehow got the language mixed up on their installation. So here's how you fix that. Go up to Tools, go down to Options. It's the last thing in your Tools menu. If the language is set wrong, I know you might not be able to read this stuff. All right, so you're gonna go here, and language settings is the third option in the left-hand sidebar in this options box. Expand that and go to languages. Now the first drop-down box is user interface. I only have English installed, but I don't know, how this will be different if you're on Windows. The second text box is your locale. So drop those boxes down, send them back to English. You can also set your default language for documents right here as well. Click OK, and it might ask you to restart LibreOffice after that. So if anyone has any further questions on how to do specific things in LibreOffice, feel free to leave me a comment down in the section below, like I said, or go on our forums over at nerdonthestreet.com. There's a section just for tech talk on our forums. Ask me a question about how to do specific things on LibreOffice Writer, and I will figure out how to do it for you. But for now, I hope that this video was informative for you guys. That's all I care to talk about a document editor for today. So I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm the Nerd on the Street, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.